The Senate adjourned for its Memorial Day recess without passing a resolution to extend the Paycheck Protection Program, known as PPP. The program, which helps small businesses pay employees, has faced significant backlash as many businesses have been unable to get the loans. So yesterday, you may recall, we showed you how minority-owned businesses in particular are struggling to get federal assistance. Billionaire investor Robert Smith is working with lawmakers in Washington to change that. He's trying to find a solution. He is the CEO and founder of Vista Equity Partners and joins us from Denver. Good morning to you, Mr. Smith. Always good to see you. I want to start right away with the piece from yesterday, because the thing that stuck out to me was the importance of relationships. Why is that so important, and why is it so difficult, it seems, for minority businesses to establish the important relationships with banking?
I think the big fundamental shift and challenge has been that a number of the large banks have actually removed their branches from these neighborhoods. And there's a statistic around 70% of African-American neighborhoods actually don't have a branch bank. And so these businesses, 94% of them or so, are small sole proprietorships. And so they don't have those banking relationships. And so it's important that they think about, creating relationships with the what I call the capillary bankings. And those are the community development financial institutions, the minority depository institutions, which is what we've been working with Secretary Mnuchin and others to build out some infrastructure so they can actually process the PPP loans effectively. And we've been actually pretty effective in that action over the last few weeks.
What is unique about minority businesses that may be different from others?
Well, the vast majority of them, again, like I said, 94% are sole proprietors. They have under 5 employees. And so when you think about, the value of a PPP loan, it's, typically under $50,000 or so is what they need to actually, frankly, repair their businesses during this time of shutdown. And unfortunately, the way that the arrangement is built, there actually isn't an economic incentive for large banks to actually prioritize their loans. And so we've been focused on driving the capacity for these smaller banks and capillary banks to process those loans effectively and profitably. There's about a 5% that they would get on and it costs, frankly, more money to process the loans than they actually get in fees from the government and processing the loan. So that's one of the issues that we've been challenged with.
Yeah, you hit on it a little bit, but I want to make sure people understand, because I've heard from minority businesses, look, I only need $23,000, I only need $40,000, and yet they're giving huge sums of money to already established businesses. And I think people are having a hard time with that disconnect. Why do they get it and I don't, when I don't need as much?
Right. And unfortunately, it's basic economics. The larger loans, even though they get a smaller fee, it's a quantum of dollars to the banks that incentivizes them to prioritize the bigger companies, the bigger loans, as opposed to the smaller ones. Some of the work that we found with our CDFIs and MDIs, it takes about 7.5 hours without technology to really process these loans effectively. And that costs them about $1,500 to process the loans, and they only get again, 5,000 or 5% on, call it a $25,000 loan. So they only receive $1,250. So they're losing money on every loan. So we've been engaging with everyone from Ivanka Trump to, Secretary Mnuchin to Senator Schumer to think about how can we actually change that, either change the amount or change the efficiency of the processing so that incentivize these banks to actually go process the smaller loans, which are essential, frankly, for our communities.
So if I hear people say, is there any money left even? That's one question. And if you've applied for a loan and been rejected, should you keep trying? Where should you go?
So first answer is there is money left. Our estimate, you can look at the SBA, is probably somewhere north of $70 billion left from what we can tell from at least 2 days ago. And many of our small to medium businesses and rural businesses were getting rejected or heard nothing from the larger banks that they had either had relationships with or that they went prepared their loans with. And so going to the CDFIs is an effective way, and the MDI is an effective way to actually get the loans processed. And we've been very effective actually in getting folks who were either turned down or didn't hear anything processed. I would recommend people go to nationalbankers.org, nationalactionnetwork.net, or ourfairshare.com and really go through the application processes there. Of course, there's the PayPals and the Squares, et cetera, who are also able to process if you have a relationship with those companies. But I think it's important to think about these capillary banking systems, these fintech-enabled banking systems, as an effective way for small to medium businesses, specifically minority businesses and rural businesses, to actually get access to the PPP capital.
All right, Robert Smith, a year ago this week, you surprised everybody at Morehouse College. You said, I'm going to pay off your student loans. Do you have a favorite memory from that day briefly? Because you got huge kudos for that. It shocked everybody. Bravo to you for that. Your favorite memory of the day?
Well, thank you. I think the favorite memory is my mother looked at me and she said, well done, son. That was my favorite memory of the day.
Well done. Well done, son, indeed. I echo your mom. Thank you very much, Robert Smith.